there, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mia and I am the maker behind Knit and Grace, and today I have the first podcast episode of the year. So in today's episode I'm going to go over my recent finished objects as well as yarn acquisitions, and I'm actually going to be sharing my 2022 making goals in the next video, but I'll also talk through sort of how I want to structure this channel for this year at the end of the video, and sort of moving forward what this channel is going to look like, and my journals and whatnot, just to be sure I'm putting out a little bit more consistent content for you all. So first up, I guess let's start with all of my FOs. And the first one that I have to share with you is the Carbeth by Kate Davies, which is what I'm wearing right now. And I knit this in the Two of Wands collab with Line Brand Hue and Me, and this color is called Spicy. And so this is a bulky weight yarn. The pattern calls for DK yarn held double, and which makes a bulky weight. And so I was able to just pick up a bulky weight yarn. I've been wanting to knit with this yarn for a long time. And actually I saw Maria from Woolen Forest wear her Carbeth in her stories a few weeks back, and I immediately fell in love, and I actually went like on the Joann's app that I have on my phone and ordered some yarn for my husband to pick up on his way home, and immediately cast it on that day. So I knit this up in about a week, which is probably a little bit slower for being that it is a bulky weight yarn, but when I'm knitting on bigger needles it actually hurts my hands and wrists, so I actually tend to knit a little bit slower, especially when I have like tons of stitches. So I knit this in the Hue and Me. It was 6 skeins of Hue and Me in Spicy. I knit this on US 10 for my gauge needle and a US 9 for my ribbing. And so the only modifications that I made were I shortened the sleeve length, so I knit the length of the shortest sleeve. I made the 5th size, but I knit the length of the shortest sleeves, and then I actually knit the body length of the biggest size. So I believe 17 inches is where I knit for the sleeves, and 10 inches is where I knit for the body, if I recall correctly. And so it is still cropped on me, however it just hits me right at my hip bone so that I can wear it with my high-waisted jeans as well as dresses. And so I'll insert a picture of the sweater being worn that I recently took today actually with my husband, for you all to see. And so I'm looking at my show notes to make sure I didn't miss anything, but yeah, I think that covers everything for this one. The next one, which actually I also took pictures of today, and this one I had actually, I think I may have finished for my last podcast, or I was just about finishing. I don't remember if I showed you all this, but this is the Wild Posy hat by Melody Hoffman, and I knit this in Plo Tu Lo Pi, and this is in the color 0001, which is their white colorway. And so it's just really nice. It has a long rib so you can fold it up, which is what I've done there. And it is a very rustic yarn, so you can see the halo, but this hat, first of all, was super easy to make. It was super quick. Even with my injured finger, I think I knit it up in 2 nights. I probably could have knit it up in 1 day if it weren't for the fact that I was knitting a little slower. So I knit this up in 2 nights. I went down a needle size than she used for her pattern. I believe she used 8s and 6s, so I used 7s and 5s, which I have the millimeters here for non-US. It's 4.5 for the main and 3.75 for the ribbing. And so this hat knit up very, very quickly, and I actually wanted to bring it with me specifically to our trip to Arizona because I knew we were going to be doing a lot of hiking and we were planning on going to the Grand Canyon, and this hat was just perfect. You know, wool, especially unprocessed wool, like non-superwash wool, is perfect for regulating your temperature. So it's super light, but it's very warm, but also it doesn't get you too warm. So it was like the perfect hat, and I wore it pretty much our entire trip there. And I got some really cool pictures actually in the Grand Canyon of me wearing this one, which I'll insert here, as well as some of the FO shots that we took today. So that was that one. And so this one used less than a plate of the Plötulopi. I think it used like 60 or 70 grams or so. So a really great quick project. So that was that one. My next finished object, actually, I spoke about in my, I think in my last podcast, but definitely in my studio vlog. It was one of the projects that I packed to go with me. So actually, I should say, my studio vlog, I had mentioned that I was going to pack 5 different projects, and I didn't end up packing the 2 sweaters that I took like small amounts for, which was the test knit and the other project that's meant to be a gift for my friend. Instead, I actually packed the Carbeth because I only had a few, like a little bit left to go. I did pack the triangular triangles, which I'm going to show you now, and the Aido wrap as well as the socks. So I swapped this one out for the 2 sweaters that I had originally packed, but I did actually take and finish my triangular triangles. So it still needs to be blocked. I just wanted to make sure I filmed this episode before I blocked it, because it'll probably take a little bit of time to dry, especially since it's quite rainy and warm here this week, which is unseasonably warm actually. When we went out to take FO pictures today, I think it was almost 60 degrees Fahrenheit, and which is crazy for the fact that it is January 2nd. So I did finish this one. It rained a little bit on, or actually it rained a lot on our second day. So our second day there, we flew out on the 23rd and got there in the morning. And so on the 24th, which was Christmas Eve, it pretty much rained the entire day. It was a complete washout. So I actually finished this one and my Carbeth both on my first day there, which I was kind of freaking out a little bit because I was like, oh my God, I didn't bring enough projects. But luckily it was perfectly fine because the rest of the days, for the most part, we had pretty good weather. So I wasn't able to get a lot of knitting done because we did get a lot of hiking in. So the stats for that one, I used the Lion Brand Feels Like Alpaca in copper, and I believe I used 5 balls. I have to weigh it just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure it was 5 balls. In any case, I'll link to my Ravelry page below so you can look it up. And I knit it on US 5s, which are 3.75 millimeter needles. So, yep, that was the specs for that one. And then the last FO that I have to show you all today is my Aido. And this one is fresh off the needles last night, actually. So my husband likes to spend the day, New Year's Day, watching all the different sports games. So It's actually have my one end to weave in. So I was able to finish this one up yesterday. I had finished most of it on our trip, and I only had the last lace and garter ridge piece to go. Just because as the stitches grew and grew, even though this was on a larger-ish needles, it did, you know, get bigger and bigger. So this is the Aido wrap. And so, let's see. You see the black into the different browns. And then the only color difference that I did from her pattern is I used the white instead of the ivory beige as my lightest color. And the reason for that is when I actually placed my order, the ivory beige was actually out of stock. So I had ordered the white when I ordered that. And I pretty much have enough, I believe. I have to weigh them all, but I have enough of every single color except for the lightest color to make another one. I may not, the light beige heather, I think it's called. Yes, the light beige heather. That one might also be on the fence as to how much I have, which is the second to last color. But definitely the first 4 colors, I have enough to make another one. So, you know, it is, the Plötulopi, it is very generous in its yardage. So I really enjoyed the construction of this. And now I just need to block it, and I think it's gonna snow next weekend. So I'm gonna try to get some FO shots of this in the snow. So that is the plan for this one. But in terms of specs, I used 6 plates of Plötulopi. So the colors are 1033 sheep black, 1032 dark brown heather, 0009 which is brown heather, 1030 which is the oatmeal heather, which you all saw that I got a lot of in my last podcast, the 003 which is the light beige heather, and the 001 which is the white. And I used a size US 7 or 4.5 millimeter needles for this one. So those are all of my FOs. I feel like I went through that very quickly. I apologize if my energy is a little manic today. We've been running around. But yeah. So I don't have any whips to show you today. As I mentioned, I just cast that one off, and I wanted to make sure I had gotten all of these projects out of the way before starting my next project, which is that test knit for my friend Magali, because I want to make sure that I concentrate completely on that one so I can finish it up, because the test knit is due in 2 weeks, I think. So I wanted to make sure everything was off the needles so I could concentrate on that piece. As for the socks, I actually ended up not knitting on those because unfortunately the way that the yarn was hanged up, I don't know what was the deal, but like the yarn was super like tangled in itself. So that was actually the project that I took with me when we went on our driving trip to the Grand Canyon, which I was a little frustrated about because I probably could have finished my Aido on the trip there if I had taken this one instead, but I didn't want to take it because of the spit splicing. So I took the socks instead, and the yarn was just super tangled up, and so I tried to, you know, hand ball each one, just having my husband hold it out while we were on the bus, and they were just way too tangled to the point where I just put the socks completely aside, and I'll probably have to revisit that yarn another day. So I was able to finish 3 projects in the week in like 2 days. which was awesome. And again, you know, they were all works in progress at that point. Nothing had been started from scratch. So I think the triangular triangles, I had just 1.5 balls that I knit up. The Aido, I had the last 2 main colors really. I had taken the 3rd color with me just because it was incorporated in some of that piece, but it really was just the last 2 colors. And then the Carbeth, I think I had already joined the sleeves and I had probably gotten almost to the ribbing. Oh no, actually, I did get to the ribbing the night before because I actually made an effort to make sure I got to the ribbing the night before, so I didn't have to take an extra set of needles. So I only had to take the size 9s with me. So I only had, I think it was 30 or 32 rounds of ribbing to do. So I really was like almost done with all of these 3 projects. I am a fast knitter, but I normally wouldn't finish 3 projects in a week, I would say. And then the hat I had finished, I think probably when I had filmed the last podcast or that very same night when I was editing, is when I had finished the hat. So yeah, no whips for you today. So hopefully I will have some whips for you next time. But I do have some yarn acquisitions. So if you all have watched my last podcast where I pretty much fondled the Flotillo P for like 10 minutes straight, you know that I was contemplating buying the light beige heather for my next project, which is my next Melody Hoffman project, which is going to be the Wild Posy sweater, the Flora. Okay, so my camera battery died, but I think I was mentioning that my next Melody Hoffman project is going to be the Wild Posy Flora jumper. And so I had originally, when I had placed my order from the Icelandic store, they were out of the ivory beige, which is the color that she used, and I really loved. So instead I decided to buy a sweater quantity of the oatmeal heather. And then when I saw it, I really determined that it was just way too dark. When I was looking at the pictures on the store, these 2 colors actually looked very similar in their photographs, and it was the difference between this one looking a little bit warmer than this one. And so that's why I decided to buy the oatmeal heather in the sweater quantity, because I wanted a little bit more of a warm color. But then when I got the colors, you can see the big difference between the oatmeal heather, which is this one, and the light beige heather, which is this one. And so in my last video, I was debating using the oatmeal heather for a different sweater that she hasn't released yet, but she released the beta to her patrons on Patreon, and then ordering enough of the light beige heather for the Wild Posy jumper. So that's what I discussed through in my last video, and I was kind of contemplating, and I was just like going back and forth and hemming and hawing, and I was like, okay. And then my friend Marjorie said, well, if you decide to place an order, if you're serious about this, just let me know and we'll split the shipping. Because she wanted to order some stuff as well. So I was like, awesome. You know, the best friends are friends who enable you. And so yeah, so I was saying, I told her, great, we'll do it. But you know, maybe I should probably wait until after my trip to order some more yarn, just because, you know, obviously going away, we were going to be spending money, and then also with the shipping and the holidays, I didn't know in terms of when the packages would get here, although our neighbors are really good about bringing in packages if they come in during the day, as we bring in packages for them as well if they get delivered during the day and, you know, they're sitting outside. So I wasn't really so much concerned about that as it was that DHL usually requires a signature. So I told her, you know, yeah, sounds great. We'll order it once I come back from my holiday. And then I happened to be browsing the Icelandic store. I'm pretty sure it was the night before we left, which I shouldn't have been doing, but I did. And I actually noticed that the ivory beige, or the 1038, was back in stock. And I was just like, oh, this is amazing. Like, I could actually get the color that I wanted. Now, I was still a little hesitant because based on some of the pictures, the ivory beige can look pretty light. But I was thinking, I'm like, it can't really be lighter than the white. So I'm just going to go ahead and order it. And so I immediately texted my friend Marjorie, who her handle is, what is Marjorie's handle? I think it's Handmade by Marjorie, but I'll insert it here so you all can follow her on Instagram as well. She's a photographer. Her pictures are beautiful. But yeah, so I immediately texted Marjorie and she was like, I have someone over for dinner. Give me a few hours and we will do this. So we were both just like in this frantic state texting each other about ordering yarn. So we ended up placing an order. All that to say is we ended up placing an order. So I ordered 2 colors. So I'm only going to show you, I'm pulling some off the top, but I ordered 7 plates. These are 3 plates, but I ordered 7 plates of the 1038 ivory beige. And I'm so happy that I went with this color because in person it's definitely way more beige than it is white, because in some of the pictures it really looks very white, but it's just like a beautiful warm color. So I'll put it up against, whoop, almost fell into my tea. So this is the white and this is the ivory beige. So when you see them next to each other, you can see. So it is still very light, but it's just a very warm color. And I am so excited. So this is going to be the Wild Posy Flora, which is going to be one of my makes for this year. But got 7 plates of this. For my size that I'm making the 4th size. The pattern calls for 5 plates, but I know that I want to lengthen it just a tiny bit because I do want to be able to wear it with my high-waisted pants as well as with dresses. So, you know, with lengthening, you always want to get a little extra. So I did get an extra plate, and then I just got an extra one just to have, because why not? So that was that. And then I got 2 plates of the oatmeal heather. And so same with this one. I think that because I had originally ordered 7 because I was thinking of using it for the Wild Posy, which again would have been 5 or 6 if I wanted to lengthen it. But the wild, I think she's calling it the Wild Flower Path Jumper, calls for, I want to say 6 for my, no, 6 for my size. So 7 if I wanted to lengthen it, which that one, I think the pattern is a little bit longer, but I wasn't sure. So 7 if I wanted to lengthen it, and I already had, technically I had 6 plus I had used part of the one for the Aido wrap, so I would have needed a 7th one, even though I technically had the 7th. So I just decided to get 2 so I can have an extra one, you know, just lying around for any reasons that I wanted. So that's gonna be these two. So I actually was very proud of myself for my restraint that I showed, but now actually Marjorie gave me permission to show you what she got. And so she ordered some Let Lo Pea, and she ordered 3 colors for a Colorworks sweater. So I won't give her away in terms of the number of each that she ordered, but the first one is the shade 0054, which I don't have the color cards in front of me, but it's this beautiful gray color. And you can see the flecks running through it of, you know, the different sheepy colors. And then the next color which she chose will be the mane of her sweater. This is shade 1407, which is this beautiful forest green. It's definitely showing up a lot more gray, I feel like, in the camera, but it is actually a very warm green. It's beautiful. So, oh, actually it's showing up better when I hold it up against my shirt. So that's that one. And then the last color she got was shade 1703, which is this beautiful yellow, which again I think, yeah, there we go, showing up better against my sweater, because unfortunately I'm filming at night as usual, so I don't have natural lighting. And so she is planning on making, she did send me the info, which I had and I lost. She, here we go, is planning on knitting a pattern by Linka Caroline Newman. And so she actually has a book of Icelandic or Scandinavian color work. And so the name of this sweater is the, I'm going to butcher this, but the Foika Genzer. And so she does have the pattern in English, so she has the book in English, and so that is the sweater that she's planning on making. I'll insert a picture of that for you all here so you can see that as well. So those are my yarn acquisitions. Hopefully I don't have too many more yarn acquisitions coming in the next few weeks, and I'll sort of speak to that a little bit more in my next video, which is going to be my 2022 making plans, and not only making plans but sort of intentions that I'm setting for the year with regard to my making, because I feel like 2021 I was kind of a little bit all over the place, and it was just a weird year for me making wise. So I've sort of sat down, made some intentions, made some plans for 2022, so that's going to be my next video. So I guess the last thing, actually I have one non-knitting related thing that I completely forgot to bring upstairs, so just give me a sec. Okay, so my technically not knitting related but kind of knitting related thing that I got while we were away were these two beautiful pottery pieces. And so the artist is called John Post. Yep, John Post, and he is local to Sedona. And so I got these beautiful mugs. So this is a mug with a handle, and it has this nice grip here for your thumb. And then I got this matching handleless mug, which I plan to use to steam my milk. And so it is a matching set, which is really nice. So oops, sorry about that, was my last acquisition for 2021. So yeah, in terms of, I'll speak to my making plans in the next video, but I did want to speak really quickly to sort of my plans for this channel, my journals for this year. So last year I was kind of putting these out a little bit more sporadically, a lot of the times because I didn't have time to film, as for the most part I film on weekends, especially now in the winter, because of the daylight situation, although a day like today where sort of other things take precedent, I'm filming a little bit later than I wish. But I do all of my filming and editing primarily on the weekends, and then editing sometimes can take me a while, sometimes it doesn't, and then uploading to YouTube takes quite a long time, between the actual transferring of the files from my editing software to my external hard drive, and then the actual YouTube processing time. So I usually upload my videos overnight so that they can process overnight. And so that means that because I usually film on the weekends, if I'm filming a video, then I have to immediately edit it so that I can get it out for you all either Sunday or Monday, which is when I tend to publish my videos. So in the new year, my plan is actually going to be to release videos on a bi-weekly schedule. So that way I'm always filming a week ahead, and then that gives me the whole week to edit and upload and schedule the videos for you all, so that moving forward, my videos will always post on Sunday morning Eastern time. So every other week, Sunday morning Eastern time. And so that is going to be the commitment that I make moving forward. So it's about 2 videos a month. And so one of my videos will be just a sit down podcast video, and then the other video can be any number of things, whether it's like a chatty video or a sew along or a knit along or anything else, or maybe some vlogs in there if I do traveling, where hopefully we'll see how the world pans out this year. Maybe we can do some traveling, maybe. Or some more traveling, but we'll see. So that is my plan going forward. So you'll always see, you'll get 1 podcast per month. So you'll see all my, my whips, my FOs, my acquisitions, and then also just another video where, I'm sharing another aspect of my making. And then sometimes I'll have some bonus content for you all as well. But I think that I can commit to every other week, and not feel as rushed to put out these videos, and hopefully put out videos that are better quality for you all. I've started taking some of the Skillshare classes, so I'm hoping to really, improve my editing and some of my vlogging techniques and things like that. So I'm hoping to put out some real quality content for you all. So that's what I feel like I can commit to and really sort of improve my skills for this year. So that is what you can expect to see from me in 2022. I'm filming this video a week ahead, so I hope you all had a wonderful New Year weekend. And now we are, I guess, in the second weekend of the new year. Definitely be sure to check back in my next video, so 2 weeks from now, for my 2022 knitting and sewing plans. So I decided to make 2 make 9s for the year, and I'll share sort of my thought process in what I chose, why I chose it, and just my making intentions for the year in general. So whether it's in this video or in that video, definitely let me know what you're planning on making in 2022. Also, if you have any questions for me, please be sure to leave them in the comments down below, or I might even make a Google form for any questions that you all might have, because I would like to have a few chatty videos here and there, maybe once a quarter or something, where I sit down and knit, and we can sort of have a little bit of a knit night situation with you all. So definitely, if you ever have any questions for me, be sure to ask them, and I'll be sure to queue them up for a chatty video, which I'm hoping to film in the near future for y'all. So I hope you all had a wonderful and safe new year, and I hope that we all have a healthy and amazing 2022, and I will see you in the next one.